next biggest stars.
Will change this entire industry.
What's going on, fam? It's your man, VACAY-J. And if you're new and you're loving Wu-Tang and American Saga, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Definitely like, comment below with any theories, any thoughts. And absolutely, we're going to break down today episode 9 of the Wu-Tang American Saga. And definitely this was a solid episode, all right? Now, if you missed episode 8, definitely go back, check out my recap on episode 8 where we see Lala in the episode. Definitely check that one out and check out our playlist as well for the Wu-Tang. So now we're going to get into the recap for episode 9. That's right. So excited about the episode that I created 2 thumbnails because the imagery was amazing in this. And we're going to get right into it right now to break it down for you. All right. If you're ready, you set, let's get it. All right. So the name of this episode is C.R.E.A.M. Cash Rules Everything Around Me. C.R.E.A.M. C.R.E.A.M is the name of the episode, and this one definitely was a solid episode. Let's break it down with the description. So it says RZA is torn between long money and quick cash as the clan struggles with financial issues. And definitely this one right here is breaking down exactly what not only the Wu-Tang goes through, but a lot of artists, especially who want to be independent, go through every single day, right? People are trying to make things happen within their music careers, and they're going through the process of coming up with enough money and still fulfill their passion and their dreams through music. So it starts off with a chess table, right? Playing chess, and it looks like the RZA is playing with somebody. We don't know who it is, but definitely they are going in on the chess pieces, right? So we see the RZA playing chess, but who is he playing chess with? We don't know, but he's having a conversation about finding out and remembering exactly what he needs to do. And yes, he's having chess with himself. So it looks like the RZA is in his mind talking about exactly what they need to do with the Wu-Tang. So he's having a conversation with himself about how they're going to make things happen. Then we shoot over and we see RZA. He is now in the office with another record exec. All right. And they're talking about, exactly what they want to do with the group, loving the single. The guy's loving the single. He's loving how it doesn't have a hook and how it's all unique and everything else like that. So he's really, feeling the song from what he says. But he asks, is asked by, of course, RZA, what about an album? He's like, we can do an album. Definitely, I like that sword, man, but here's another sword. So he gives him a sword, after he saw them perform, gives them a sword. He says there's a message on the sword. So he opens up the sword and he sees $100,000 as far as the advance that they want to give the Wu-Tang Clan to be on their label. So again, this is a $100,000 advance that could really help out the crew. It could really help out with all the expenses. Power could get his money back, and they can really take off with the Wu-Tang Clan, right? Every artist would want an advance, but there's stipulations to that. So, of course, Power and Divine, they're like, man, $100,000, that's a lot of money. But that's also the same amount that A Tribe Called Quest got. So they're talking about it, and they're like, yeah, it's a good deal, but we have other offers on the table as well. We got to consider them, and they're not guaranteeing an album, right? So we shoot over to Steve Rifkin, young Steve Rifkin. Shout out to Steve Rifkin. And he's talking with his associate, and he's like, yo, Wu-Tang, they're shopping right now. We got to come up with more money. We got to come up with a whole lot of stuff. And, his associate is like, yo, we need to definitely find out exactly where they are. He's like, yo, I've been calling them. I can't find the Wu-Tang. I can't find, Bobby. I can't find them. So young lady, she finds out exactly where they are. And he says, okay, we're going to go and check out Bobby in the studio, Prince Raheem in the studio, and check them out. Meanwhile, back at home, we got C.R.E.A.M. She's looking out the window, and she's filling out some paperwork for a job, right? Money's kind of tight, right? So, of course, Dennis comes home. He's like, yo, I got your favorite and the whole nine. And, they're talking about basically trying to come up with some money. Money is tight around the household. So C.R.E.A is like, listen, you let me know that I need to be empowering myself. I need to really, make it happen and empower myself. Of course, Dennis is like, true, true, true. And he's thinking of a way, of course, of how to get money up. But unfortunately, the way that he's thinking is to get back on the block like this guy right here and just slang that product, and that's definitely going to be a concern for C.R.E.A, that she doesn't want him to go back on the block. She wants him to do the music. Meanwhile, we shoot over to U-God. U-God is still out on the street, and he's still hustling and doing what he is doing to get his money up to feed his fam. So he's dropping off product. He's looking over his shoulder. He's making sure the cops is nowhere to be found. So U-God is making it happen on the block to get his money up. Now, back in the studio, we got Method Man. We got ODB. They're just hanging out, listening to the music. Meanwhile, of course, the RZA and Inspector Deck, they are working on the C.R.E.A.M song, the song C.R.E.A.M, Cash Rules Everything Around Me. So Inspector Deck is like, yo, I got this verse. He lays down the verse, and the RZA's like, yeah, that's a dope verse, man. That's real deep. You need to go ahead and lay that down. So they pull up the beat and everything, and they get ready to go in. And, as, Inspector Deck is spitting it again, he's like, yo, that verse is deep. That verse is deep. It's real deep. That first verse from Inspector Deck is always a deep verse on this. Meanwhile, your boy Steve Rifkin shows up with his associate at the studio. They found out where the Wu-Tang was, so he shows up and he's like, yo, RZA, you remember me? You remember Steve Rifkin, right? You remember who I am? And of course, Bobby's like, man, yo, what's going on, Steve? So he remembers him. He's like, what's happening, man? What's going on? What you doing here? And of course, Steve is like, yo, I want you guys to be on the label, but, can we talk? Can we talk about details and everything else like that, right? So they go ahead and talk details in the booth. And they're talking about how, Steve wants them to be on a label. He understands that they're independent, and he's going to give them whatever they want. For the most part, give them whatever they need. And, of course, Divine is like, listen, respectfully, we got a lot of other offers. We definitely need more money. We got one company offering us $100,000. We got another company offering us, $200,000. So, respectfully, we need to talk further about this, and you basically need to come up with more money because we got bigger offers on the table. Of course, RZA is definitely feeling what he's saying because, he sees that this guy's really passionate about helping him out. So what does Steve and his associate do? They sit down with the head of RCA. They go see the head of RCA to talk about getting more money, a bigger budget for Loud Records. That's his label. His label is Loud Records. So, the guy's like, basically, nah, I'm not putting any more money out. And Steve is breaking down how, listen, RCA was built on, folk music and everything else like that. He's like, yo, the Wu-Tang Clan, they're going to be like the Beatles. They're going to be like Elvis. And you definitely want to be on the right side of history. You want to be on the right side of history when the Wu-Tang Clan blows up on Loud Records, which is backed by RCA, right? So he's really, staking the claim. He's really letting them know, like, this is the future. What are you going to do? And the guy's like, no more money, no more budget, no more for your label. You got enough. You got more than enough. Meanwhile, back at the Park Hill Projects, we see your boy Raekwon the chef. He's going back to the crib only to see that there's an eviction notice on the door. He can't get in. He's hitting the door. The neighbor hears him and she tells moms to come out. So his mom is next door and says, hey, I see you. We got evicted, and, Raekwon is just like, yo, why didn't you just tell me? Why don't you just tell me? And of course, his mom is like, because I didn't want you to go back into the streets to get money up and everything else like that, right? So Raekwon leaves. He goes back to the studio. He's talking to Power. Power's like, yo, what's going on? Why you frustrated? He's like, yo, man, we need to get our people out the ghetto, man. It's just hard for us, man. We got to, definitely elevate. And of course, Power in his infinite wisdom says, you know what, with all that frustration, you write about everything you said, definitely go in the booth and take all your frustrations out on that record right there. He said, yo, told the engineer, hey, play the verse that Inspector Deck did, right? So Raekwon, he's listening to the song, and Inspector Deck is laying it down. It's been 22 long, hard years and still struggling. So yeah, Raekwon is definitely feeling that, feeling the verse, and he's like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to lay my verse down. I'm going to lay a verse down on this. This is exactly what I need to help me get through this frustration of moms and us getting evicted from the crib. Now we shoot over to Nina's house. Divine is having a moment with his sister, letting him know, he appreciates them being there, definitely loving that they're there, but not really Dennis so much. So, they had a little moment, little family moment going on, which is definitely cool. Now, the PO shows up, parole officer shows up to meet up with Divine. And he's like, congratulations, you got through, certain amount of days. And he's like, yo, what's going on with the job search, though? I need to find out what's going on. I need to check up on that. So Divine's like, well, I'm doing something different now. I'm an executive now with the record label. He has his business card and he has, all his documentation and everything else like that. So it's looking good for Divine, right? But the PO was like, nah, every, ex-con is telling me that they down in the music business. I need to have a W-2. I need to have a pay stub. I need to have something legitimate. If I don't have this, if I don't get this, right, then guess what? I'm going to have to report you and we can send you back up in the pen. So you need to definitely get a job, work on getting a job where you're getting a pay stub. I need to see all of that, just basic stuff. Of course, Divine is frustrated about this, but he has to do what he has to do. Meanwhile, Steve Rifkin is definitely on the loose. He's like, man, I need to make something happen. We need to get more money. And the guy tells him, listen, there's a BMI network event going on. You definitely need to be there. And absolutely, you need to do whatever you need to do to get there, to get them there. So Steve has an idea. He says, you know what? We're going to get them to perform at the BMI event. Meanwhile, back at the studio, you got your boy RZA, you got your boy Raekwon, and Inspector Deck. And he's like, yo, lay down that verse. So Ray got a verse, and he lays down the second verse on that C.R.E.A.M joint, and it's definitely coming out hot. Hot fire from Raekwon, the chef, and Inspector Deck on that C.R.E.A.M joint. So they're laying down the verses, and we already know how the song goes. The verses are definitely dope. And absolutely, Bobby is feeling it, right? Bobby's feeling the verses from Inspector Deck and Raekwon, and he's in a zone. And then there's a knock at the door. It's his sister C.R.E.A.M. And he's like, yo, why you here, man? We don't need any interruptions. She's like, yo, I got concerns because we don't got a lot of money. And, I'm concerned that Dennis is going to go back on the block, and we don't want that. So, of course, Bobby's just like, yo, we got to do something about it. He's like, we're going to get the deal soon. We're going to get the deal soon. So now we shoot over to another record label where a label exec is talking to Bobby. They're at Elektra Records, and they want to offer them a certain amount of money as soon as they walk out, right? So, hey, you sign with us. We definitely love what y'all doing. Keep doing what you're doing. But, we have an issue with the image. We definitely want to do something with your image. Image is everything, and we want to change up the image. Bobby's like, yo, pretty much you get what you get. Like, it is what it is. We're going to keep it real. We want to keep it real as far as the way we look and everything else like that. You remember Bobby's situation when he first got signed, they changed up his image. So the guy's like, keeping it real. What's keeping it real? This table is real. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yo, y'all can keep it real all you want, but it's really all about marketing in the game. Of course, Bobby's not feeling that because of everything that he went through personally when he was signed. And the guy's just like, listen, man, if you sign with us right now, we're going to be able to give you, $200,000, $250,000. And it's totally up to you what you want to do, if you sign with us. So, of course, Bobby's like, man, that could definitely help out, the whole fan. Meanwhile, Power and Divine is talking like, yo, 200,000. Like, yo, we need to discuss this. Like, I need to get my money back and everything else like that. Like, this is a good move. Of course, the RZA, he sees another chess piece. And now he has to have a conversation with himself, but now as Prince Rakeem. Again, he's going back in his mind, thinking about how it was when the label was pushing the whole changing of the image on him. So now he's playing chess with himself, and the dressed up Prince Rakeem is like, yo, $200,000? Man, that could change a whole lot of stuff, man. Like, you need to go ahead and do that, right? So he's telling him to do that, change his image, for the sake of the money, for the sake of helping, the woo and everything else like that. But of course, his old self is just like, man, I don't know. But the RZA's like, listen, I'm not really trying to do all of that, but this could really help the fam. Now we have the big meeting at Def Jam, and we already know. We see Lala playing Tracy, and she's definitely dressing it all up, making it look real good to be on Def Jam. And she got the whole plaque ready. She's showing, listen, anything that comes through Def Jam, we want to make it platinum. We want all platinum plaques coming through the door. And she's really telling them how, they can do a whole lot of big things. And of course, definitely RZA is listening with an objective ear as he should. And she's definitely talking a real good game, trying to get them to sign, the Wu-Tang over to Def Jam. Now, of course, she's letting them know the advance is going to be way more than what the others are offering. And of course, your boy Power, he's feeling that, right? He's definitely feeling the money. But, the RZA's like, listen, you sign a Wu-Tang as a group, but you will not sign them as individuals, right? As individuals, we want them to have an offer from different labels. And of course, Power's like, yo, they walk out the office like, yo, why didn't you discuss this with us? And Bobby is breaking it down like, listen, let's say we do sign a label and the individual artist. If that artist doesn't sell, guess what? They won't allow the rest to come through and do an album. So it's definitely a smart move with Bobby. Power's not really feeling it, but of course, Divine is frustrated. Now, Steve Rifkin finally gets Bobby in the office, and he's letting him know, hey, listen, man, like I said, I could definitely offer you, not as much money, but definitely give you that creative freedom that you want. And then, of course, the RZA is just like, yo, if we can sign the group, but I want to make sure that my guys can get their own money and have their individual deals, So if you could sign something up like that, then absolutely we can do that. But definitely need more money. We definitely need more of an advance and everything else like that. So, of course, Steve is just like, yo, whatever you guys want, I'm open for it. We can definitely do it and we can make it happen. But I just got to come up with more money for you guys. I'm working on getting more money. So definitely Steve is very enthusiastic about signing the Wu. He believes in the Wu. He knows that they're going to change history. They're going to change the game. And he definitely is open to making things happen, doing whatever he got to do. So Bobby goes back to the studio, of course, on the reel to reel, right? Those people in the industry, y'all remember the reel to reel. He's working on the album, of course, and he's working on that C.R.E.A.M joint right there, right? So, they're talking about the C.R.E.A.M joint and everything, and all of a sudden, some dude knocks at the door, and he's coming in with some work. And Bobby's like, yo, what's going on? And that's You God's boy. And You God is talking to the dude. And he's like, yo, man, I told you if it was necessary, come through, man. If it was necessary, come through with the work, man. What the heck is going on? So You God is not only just doing music, but You God is still, as we saw in the beginning, still doing street business. And of course, Bobby sees all of that. And, Bobby definitely want to talk to him about that. But right now, he understands that everybody is kind of tight. Things are kind of tight for everybody. Of course, Raekwon got a lot of frustrations and everything. And he's letting them know, like, yo, we're going to make this happen, man. The deal is going to come through. They're talking about all these offers that are on the table. We just got to be patient. We just got to make things happen. Meanwhile, your boy Method Man comes through. And Bobby's like, yo, man, we need a hook for this song, man. We need a hook for this song. You the man with the hooks. So definitely Method Man goes in and he lays it down. Cash rules everything around me. C.R.E.A.M, get the money. Dollar, dollar bill, y'all. Power's feeling it. And of course, Bobby's like, you did it, man. That's the one. That's the one. Everybody's celebrating the song, celebrating what he laid down as far as the hook. And your boy Bobby definitely changes the name of the song. At first it was Lifestyles, but now He crosses it out. It's C.R.E.A.M. Cash rules everything around me, right? So Bobby lays down the news. He says, yo, listen, I spoke to Steve Rifkin, and, there's a BMI event coming up. It's a networking event with all these different labels. They come together and they talk about this, that, and the third, and collaborate on whatever it is. And he wants us to perform at this BMI. Now, of course, they're frustrated enough because they're not getting enough cream. They're like, Raekwon is like, yo, we're going to get paid for this. Is this going to be a waste of our time? And Bobby's breaking it down. He's like, yo, we do this, man. We can definitely get a lot more offers, and it's definitely going to be a good thing for us. Let's go make it happen. I need all of y'all to be there, right? So he rounds all of them up. They meet up with Steve at the BMI event, right? And they all walking through this hotel, and there's a whole lot of different type of people up in there, right? So, they meet one of the top execs, and, he's a German guy, top exec, and he's like, yo, I'm looking forward to your R&B group. And Steve, he's telling Steve, yo, man, we're not an R&B group. And Steve's like, don't even worry about it, man. Of course, ODB and Meth, they're making their way around. They're getting the drinks from the ladies. And now we have the Wu-Tang on stage at the BMG networking, team building exercises, project, and all of that. This is definitely a networking event. So they're on stage to perform. And that's exactly what Steve wanted. He wanted them to perform for the top execs so they can get more money for the label and go from there. So, of course, it's a different type of crowd in there, right? All these execs, all these different type of networking people, all these suits. That's what we call them in the industry, right? We call them suits. So it's a whole bunch of suits in the building. Bobby starts to talk, but of course your boy ODB grabs the mic and he does his little introduction, try to get the crowd hype and try to get them to, do what they do as far as energy, right? So what he does best. ODB starts singing. He starts singing a song. And of course, he's just getting the crowd warmed up. Now, with all the frustration going on as far as the money, Power, Divine, they get a little laugh out of it. Some of the folks definitely getting a laugh out of it. Raekwon, Dennis, they definitely laughing through it all, and they smiling through it, right? Some people are liking what's going on, and they start performing. And, of course, Steve is feeling it. But, of course, some people just like, the executive's like, what is this? He's looking, he has that look like, yo, what is this? I've never heard this before. But Steve and his boys like, yeah, this is definitely big. This is huge. This is going to be, break some waves. It's going to set a whole new trend. We're about to do something real big, right? So they're hopeful. Meanwhile, the RZA and the Jizza, they're talking. And he's like, yo, man, you good? Like, there's a lot of people struggling with the money right now. He's like, yo, don't even worry about that. So Steve rolls up on Bobby and the Jizza. He's like, yo, they love you guys. It's great, man. Everything is good. Like, let me just go talk the details with them, and we definitely going to do some big things. Meanwhile, Steve is like, yo, here's some keys to to the hotel rooms. Go ahead, you guys can have a good time. Just chill out, because they travel pretty far to get to the BMG joint. So he gives them the keys, and it's an exciting time. They're definitely excited about the performance and everything else like that. And yes, the Jizza is like, whoa, this is crazy, right? So they're having a good time. They're up in the hotel room, definitely having a great time after that performance. They perform C.R.E.A.M and everything. So it's definitely a great response. The ladies come through, popping bottles and everything. But Dennis, he's not feeling it, so he walks out real quick. And he's in the hallway, and he sees, this couple. They're walking out of their room. So he sees that they leave, and he breaks in the room, and he goes and takes something, right? Meanwhile, Method Man trying to get some sleep. They take the fire extinguisher, spray him up. They wilding out in the rooms, damaging the rooms, and then we see Bobby. He rolls up on U-God like, yo, what's going on? What's going on, U-God? And he's like, yo, man, I got to do what I got to do for my family, man. Like, the money ain't coming in, until that money comes in. I got to do what I got to do. But Bobby's like, yo, you got to decide either the music or the streets. Of course, U-God is thinking about it all. He goes to the car, gets some drugs out of his trunk, only to get caught by the cops. Cops pull him over, and they take him in, right? Meanwhile, Bobby's roaming the hotel, and he overhears Steve talking to the exec, And the executive's like, what is this garbage that you brought here? This is not R&B. This is not what I want. And Steve's like, yo, these guys are rock stars. You don't know you don't know what's going on. This is the next level. Of course, Bobby hears that, but then the Jizza rolls up. He's like, yo, he got caught by the cops. Back home, Dennis, he took the jewelry, pawned it off, got some money, gave it to C.R.E.A.M, and C.R.E.A.'s like, where'd you get that money from? You know, she definitely has concerns. She's just like, don't want him back on the street. He's like, don't worry, you know, we're going to be all right. I don't want you to worry. We're going to figure it out. Definitely don't worry. We're going to figure it out, you know? So Dennis definitely has good intentions. He just got to go about it the right way. Meanwhile, Power's like, yo, what's going on? They only offered us $60,000. Meanwhile, Divina's on the phone, and he gets off the phone with the label, and the label says, you know what? That $100,000 is off the table. They heard about what happened at the BMG event. He's like, yo, what about the other 250? So then Divina's like, yo, most likely that's going to go away as well. You know, we got to do something. Bobby is now in a fix. And yes, he's going back into his mind. And his old self is like, man, how'd you lose $200,000, $100,000, man? This is frustrating, man. You should have took it when I told you. And of course, frustrated, just having a conversation with himself. He's just like, man, you know, he doesn't know what's really going on. And he's trying to figure it out. But he finally figures out, he said, you know what? Checkmate. And this was a great display of him going through his mind to understand that everything he knew before, he learned before, now he has to apply just in a different way, in a new way, right? So what does he do now? He's sitting down with himself, his younger self. He's like, yo, I don't know how to play chess. And he's like, listen, but what I know now, definitely I understand that you have to use your mind in order to move these chess pieces in order to win. So with all that being said, the young man says, what do I do now? And now the Riz is by himself. He realizes that it's all up to him to make the proper moves in order to move forward. So he walks away from the chess tables, understanding through everything that he learned from his past and from the present that he has to make the move, the best move, in order for the Wu-Tang to win overall. Overall has to win everything. So now we back in the booth, right? Everybody's in the booth. Divine definitely frustrated with everything that's going on. Bobby comes through the door, and you see Divine, he's frustrated about everything, you know, losing this deal, losing that deal. And Bobby, he basically breaks down and lets them know what's going on. And he said, I had a meeting, and basically, guys, the Wu-Tang is now signed to Loud Records. Loud Records. So the RZA signed the Wu-Tang Clan with Loud Records. And again, it was the best choice because Steve, even though he didn't have a lot of money, he definitely was giving him an album guarantee, absolutely signing the Wu-Tang Clan, but not signing the individual artists. So this gives the individual artists their opportunity to shop their project to other labels and to get their own money in different ways, not just from one label, but for whatever label gives them the best deal. So this definitely was a great, solid episode on the business side of the music business and how frustrating it can be, but how they absolutely made it through, made a decision to be on Loud Records so they can have that creative freedom and have more to give the world for us and through the Wu-Tang Clan. So again, definitely a solid episode here where we see the ins and outs of the business, how the label wanted to change their image, how, you know, people didn't understand exactly what they were doing, but they were at the next level. They were bringing things to the next level. So definitely let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about episode 9. I believe it was a solid episode. And let me know what you think in the comments below, man, because this was definitely a deep, introspective look at the struggles that they went through, coming through, but still having the faith to push through to the other side. And it was definitely worth it. All right. So you know what it is, fam. It's your man, VACAY-J. I'm out. Salute.